Alright guys, I'm back with part 2 to this video. This one's going to be a little bit longer. I know the last one was 30 minutes, but as you can see we have 23 minutes more of video time here, so this one probably might equate to an hour. But I hope you guys enjoy the commentary, and hit that like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed it. Would really appreciate it, and it would help me grow my channel a lot. So let's just jump straight into it here. So we left off on 65. This is round 66. This one, we do have these holy poles here, and those are things that you will find in Romania, Hungary, and Poland. And I was slightly confused because it was a little bit hilly, which is kind of weird for Poland, which I was pretty sure is what this was with the architecture. And then I look at some language there, looks Polish. Looks Polish there as well with the amount of Z's and W's. But then we see a Polish sign with the, which is yellow with a very thin red border. So that's a Polish thing. So that made me very confident to go Poland here. And then this one, a little bit of a tricky round, actually. Really weird. Because we do have what many people associate with France. These are French bollards. They're very thick with the red stripe around it. But the language here did not look French. Looks Dutch. So I do a little bit more looking around here. And everything to me looks very Dutch, near the sea, near the ocean. And that looks like it's Dutch on the sign there as well. And then I also see the car with the yellow license plate, I think, in a few seconds here. Yellow license plate there, Dutch there, yeah. And then, for some reason, I totally miss that these bollards here. Hold on. So I'm going to zoom in, get onto Netherlands here, an area where I think it might be. I have no idea. But I miss these bollards here, which are similar to Australian bollards. Yeah, those are Dutch bollards. So I was pretty confident sending Netherlands there, and it was. And it was closer to Amsterdam, which was a little bit surprising, but made sense. This one, we do have the white back of the car, so that's something that in Africa, when we're driving left here, you can find in Botswana, South Africa, Eswatini, and Lesotho. But with this dry landscape, although there is mountains, which is kind of interesting, but I know by the South African border, by Gaborone, there are a lot of mountains in Botswana. Very infrequent, but there are mountains. So with the dryish landscape, I ended up sending Botswana here, I believe. I do a little bit more looking. But yeah, I think also down the street here, I don't particularly know if these signs are colored black and yellow on the poles there, but that's also a Botswana thing. And also this yellow plate, I believe, is also a Botswana thing. So those three things made me go Botswana. And I should have went near Gaborone, as I said, but yeah. And then this one, I actually thought it was Germany to begin with because of the Generation 2 camera and the way that we spawned. But I ended up going Ireland here, I believe, mainly because of a poor meta here. If you see grass in the middle of the driveways here, or in the middle of the road, usually default to Ireland. Works like 80 to 90% of the time. I think Mr. Yogshop taught me that meta. And also, we can see the steering wheel on the right here, so it is indicating left-hand drive. So I think I managed to eventually send Ireland after a little bit more thinking. The house there also looked more Irish to me than British or Welsh. So, and I thought it was too green and luscious to be Scotland. So, yep. And it ended up being Ireland there. And then this one, pretty easy, South Africa. Don't think I really need to explain this one. We do have very Afrikaans sounding names as well. And that brings us up to 70. And then with this one, we just take a look. We see the yellow reflector on the guardrail here with the antenna. So that means we're in Spain. Not much thinking to it. Yellow reflector in Europe is only in Spain, as I've said before. This one here, we have no antenna. But then I see these things, which indicate some sort of Pipeline? I'm not entirely sure what they indicate, but I believe that is only a United States thing. I don't think I've seen that in Canada. Also, the architecture, the soil's very more red looking, and that's something you'll get more in the U.S. So, said U.S. and it was southern U.S., which makes sense. And then we see these bollards here with the yellow middle, and that is a Spanish bollard. So we can pretty safely spend Spain here. I think I'm dilly-dallying around a little bit, but we eventually do send Spain, so. And it is just Spain. And then this one we see some clear Finnish. TIE is a Finnish ending. I believe it's their word for street, something like that. If you're Finnish in the comments, please feel free to correct me. But yeah, should be Finland here. So we just end up sending Finland. And then this one here, we do see these, what appear to be Australian bollards, I guess. I'm not sure. But it does look like Malaysia just because of all the oil palms that we can see. I just had to confirm. This was more of a vibe thing for me, deciding between Malaysia and Indonesia. Nicer houses as well. The roofs are not metal, so looks more Malaysia to me. And then I see that black sticker there, so I believe I do end up going mainland Malaysia here. Oh, I don't. Maybe that wasn't a black sticker. I might be messing with y'all. Yeah, because it ends up being Borneo, so it obviously was not a black sticker there. We move on anyway. So we do see the black back of the car here, and with this very dry but also shrubby looking landscape, I guess. We can go Argentina here pretty safely. At this point, I'm on 75, so I'm panning around a little bit more. But yeah, we do see an Argentina pole there as well that I point out. And I don't know why I didn't go further south. At this point, I'm just trying to get the right country. I'm a little bit nervous, panicking a little bit, so yeah. We see some French-looking signs there, also French-sounding names, and we have that ladder pole, which you'll find in France and Spain. But that one's just France because of the letters there, or the language there. And that thing says BG on the license plate, so we can pretty safely send Bulgaria here, especially with the winter coverage. And this one looks like the US to me. Doesn't look like any neighborhood that I have seen in Canada. And also, I think those are Oregon plates there. So you can see Oregon plates have the green tree, I believe, in the middle of their license plate. So I believe I ended up sending Eugene or something along those lines. And it ended up being Medford, I think. So we were in Oregon nonetheless. And this one with this very tall looking grass growing on both sides of the road. I was pretty confident in Eswatini here. It was also pretty hilly. So all those things made me go Eswatini. Send that one pretty fast. And that puts us on 80. And this one here, yellow front and back plates, Dutch language, easy Netherlands. Just go Amsterdam for the fun of it. And then this one here, I believe, does end up being the US again with the state of the road. I ended up going US. Also, just in general, it looked more US to me. And that looks like a US street sign. Probably somewhere in the plains or that area, so I ended up going Montana. I think it ends up being Wyoming? No, Nebraska. Okay, that also makes sense. Generation 4 camera here with that script, as well as this light here. All equates to Thailand, so we're just in Thailand here. Okay, and then on this one, we get back-to-back Thailand. Generation 4 camera again. There is some English, so I probably should have went closer to Bangkok, actually. Just had to confirm we were driving left. Yeah, we were. And then this one looks like what appears to be French on the sign there. And then those blue house numbers are also pretty French as well. And then I see blue on both sides of the license plate, so that's pretty safe to go France there. All right, and then here we do have what appears to be the black back of the car. It's kind of hard to see with the sun reflecting off of it, but it does appear to be black. And the black car in Latin America is only going to be Peru, Argentina, and Uruguay. Um, Landscape looked pretty Peruvian to me, and I believe those are Peru bollards as well. Dry looking mountains, treeless mountains as well. Very sparse looking trees actually on some of these mountains. Pretty common in Peru. I was trying to think if this could be northwest Argentina, but I think I just ended up going Peru here, just trusting my gut. It looked very much so like Peru. So yeah. I think I take a little bit more time here just to make sure, and then I send. Yep. This one, I do see a very bad road, so I'm immediately thinking Ukraine over Russia here, with the Poles landscape as well. And then I see the red car, so it's pretty easy to send Ukraine. Next round here. This one takes a little bit of time, actually. I believe I check all my boxes. I think I settle on France here just because of the architecture, how it looks with these white-colored houses with these roofs. Also, I believe we are driving on the right. I can see the little guy here. I had to confirm that it wasn't like weird Ireland in some way, but I think you can see the guy here operating the car, which does indicate right-hand drive. I take a little bit more time just looking at the landscape, looking to see if I missed anything. But through somewhat process of elimination, somewhat trusting my read on the architecture, I do end up just sending France. I think I was considering Belgium here, but the houses just looked way more French to me. So France it was. And I think it actually ends up being a Paris suburb or something like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Really surprised me. I thought this would have been northwest France with the architecture, but I was totally wrong. Yeah, near Paris. And then this one, just NMPZ'd, I believe. We do have Alberta bollards there. So just send Canada here. And then for this one, did a little bit more digging to figure this one out. Does appear to have hills every which direction, so obviously my first thought is British Columbia. And I believe these things on the poles here is pretty common in British Columbia as well. I don't exactly know what they are, but it's pretty common in British Columbia. And then this sign does not look like a US plate that I know. Looks more Canadian, the font as well. So I do a little bit more panning because at this point I'm on 89, so I just want to make sure. But I was pretty confident sending British Columbia here, aka Canada. A little bit more panning, a little bit more looking around. Had to make sure. Even checked out the sun there for a little bit. But I actually don't know what British Columbia plates look like exactly, but I assume that was a British Columbia plate because it looked northwestern North America, but that wasn't a Washington or Oregon plate that I knew. So British Columbia was the go here. And after a little bit, we do send it, and it does end up being British Columbia. So that puts us up to 90. And here we get a pretty easy Australia. All the reasons I mentioned before, we have Australian bollards for one. And then this one, I believe I do see Pasaje del Terror, which is Spanish. Took Spanish in high school, so probably the only language that I can speak brokenly. And yeah, just do a bit more panning. We do see some Spanish signs up there as well. Architecture looks Spanish. So pretty safe to send Spain here. I was just checking all the boxes at this point to make sure, and it was just Spain, so. And then this one, Sweden, again, we do have the short dashes. And then this one, we have a Romania pole, painted bottoms there, very bad looking road, equates to Romania. And then this one actually threw me a bit for a loop. I knew I had seen this coverage either in Greenland or Svalbard, but I wasn't sure which one, so I had to look on the map to refresh myself. I thought I was actually going to lose a streak here. You can see me click on Svalbard first, and then I look and I see. I'm pretty sure Longyearbyen didn't look like this, so I ended up switching to Greenland. And I realized there was nothing I could really do if I was wrong there anyway. There was no real way to check, so I did end up going Greenland, and it ended up being Greenland. So pretty lucky on my part. You would think I would know the difference between those two by now, but clearly not. And then this one just ends up being Tunisia. You can see the follow car in the distance there. Some English there. And then some Tunisian taxis as well. Pretty clear Tunisia. And then this one just ends up being Thai again, I believe. We have a Thai pole there. Thai flag. For a second, I thought that was a circle in the middle of that blue there, and that would have indicated Lao. So I was a little bit concerned. So I did a little bit more panning. And then I see more Thai flags down there. So I was pretty safe to send Thai. Also, this satellite dish is something you see in Thai a lot as well. Those very big satellite dishes that you'll see in Brazil and Indonesia as well. So yeah, we end up going Thai. And then here we just take a look at the black back of the car. Yellow outer lines on both sides of the road. Dry landscape just equals Jordan. And then this one looked like the US again. Highway 74 South. Pretty US to me. And then I confirm it with that no passing zone sign here. So that triangle sign is something that you'll see only in the US. I believe it says no passing zone on it. Just to signal to cars trailing behind somebody that they're not allowed to just jump in the other lane and speed past the guy in front of them in this particular area. That's not something you'll see in Canada. So if you're ever deciding between the US and Canada and you see this triangle sign here, you're always in the US. Also, the state of the road looked more US as well. And then this one, the pavement, very much reminded me of the Netherlands. This brick also reminded me of the Netherlands as well. Similar to Belgium, but not exactly the same. And then I see the yellow license plate there. So pretty safe to set Netherlands. And that puts us on 100. So that was pretty exciting. At this point, I was freaking out a little bit. Reconsidering every single one of my guesses. But I realized I had to stick with what I knew. And then this one is just Russia, I believe. We do have bollard spam. So you see a lot of bollard spam on corners and intersections like that. And then a Cyrillic stop. And then you see the black bottom of the signs there. And that's something you'll only see in Russia. I think I've seen it in Ukraine very rarely. But yeah, just Russia here. Then this one's easy, Senegal. We do have the rifts in the sky. You can see some French there, I believe, on the wall. And then this one, a little bit confused for a sec. I thought I was going to have to make a decision between Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. But we do have a gray car, which I believe is only Philippines. And then we are driving on the right, indicated by this motorcyclist and this car going the opposite way on the right. So we do end up sending the Philippines. And then we get a Kenyan snorkel here. I believe we get Kenya back-to-back. So at this point, I was pretty happy because that brought us up to 105. So not really much explanation needed for these. All right. And then this one actually took me a little bit to decipher. My first thought was Ecuador here. With the dryness, and also these double yellow lines is something that you'll see more in Ecuador, Colombia, and Brazil over Mexico. Mexico usually has a single yellow line, and you won't really see these cat eyes too much, or these reflectors in the middle of the lines in Mexico. You'll see that more in Ecuador and Colombia. My first thought was Ecuador here with the dryness, but from what I could see, the plate there might have been yellow. So I tried to look for a Colombian cross or any other yellow plate closer to me. but I couldn't really see anything. So this one ended up just me trusting my gut here and just sending Colombia. I think I do a little bit more panning to see if I can notice anything. The oil palms there also scared me, because I thought that would be something you see more in Ecuador. I try to see if you can see the bolts from this side of the sign to indicate a cross of some sort, but I couldn't really see it as well. But I was just judging off of that, me thinking, hoping that plate was a yellow plate. And eventually, as we'll see, I think I do end up clicking on Colombia and sending it. And this ended up being somewhere that I guess I somewhat expected it to be, but I didn't expect it to be that extreme. So yeah, we're still looking. We're still deciding. But yeah, eventually I ended up going to Colombia. It's super dry, which is something I associate more of Ecuador near Guayaquil, but it ended up being on the tip there. And then this one I was pretty sure was Malta, judging by these types of walls. And it looks like they are driving on the left because they're coming into my lane here. I was a little bit confused by the language there. Not sure if what language that was, but yeah. Just left-hand drive here with the architecture does equate to Malta. So, and then this one also took me a little bit to figure out. So my first thought was Indonesia here. Judging by the state of the buildings, these metal roofs are definitely more Indonesian, as I mentioned. And I think so. Malaysia and Indonesia do have different currency as well, so you can see me going back to that sign multiple times. I believe RP is the Indonesian currency. I forget what the Malaysian currency is, but that looked like an Indonesian RP sign, and also those satellite dishes. Those big ones are also something you'll see way more in Indonesia. I don't think I really see it in Malaysia too much. So I keep going back to these satellite dishes, looking at everything. Also, what threw me for a little bit of a loop is usually Indonesia does have front plates, and it will be blurred most of the time on the motorbikes there. This guy, that might be the license plate there, but it wasn't blurred, so I think that's what confused me a little bit more. And with these oil palms, definitely more common in mainland Malaysia and Borneo, Malaysia, as opposed to Indonesia. So I really had to think about this one for a very long time. But with the satellite dishes and me going back to that sign multiple times, looking at the RP there, I think I eventually decided upon going Indonesia. So it just takes me a while. I'm looking at the license plates to see if they look like Indonesian license plates with the 3 white sections. Looking at that language to see if I can somehow learn Indonesian, the difference between Indonesian and Malaysian, like, out of nowhere. But yeah. After a bit more panning, a bit more thinking and deliberating, I do eventually end up sending just Sumatra because of the oil palms. I believe you'll get these oil palms on Sumatra and Sulawesi in Indonesia, but it looks more flat. I believe Sulawesi is way more hilly than this. So, yeah. And then that sign says Amman there, so pretty easy Jordan. Obviously the capital of Jordan. And then we get Korean there. At this point, I'm freaking out because, some easy rounds here. And that puts us on 110. And here it looks like US, standard US. We got this double yellow middle lines, tractor, tractor retailer, which is something you'll see in the US, I guess. I don't know the 615 area code, so I don't know why I pointed at that. But yeah, the license plates looked more like a US license plate, and it just ended up being Tennessee, so that makes sense. This one, that looks like Cyrillic, and I believe I ended up going Russia here, primarily because the sign in the distance does look to have a black bottom on the signpost there, and I think I had enough deliberating, and I just went Russia. And then this one, so these striped poles here, I know you'll see these in Peru, but we will also see this in Malaysia as well. And then I see a city that I recognize as well in Miri, which is on Borneo, Malaysia. So we ended up just plonking like really close to Miri, I think. Yeah. And then this one, we do have these yellow and white combo lines, and that's something that you'll see. So the yellow lines you can see in Norway a lot, but I believe Norway does not have the combination of the yellow and the white, and that's something only you'll see in Finland. Sweden never has yellow lines, from what I've seen. So I'm just confirming this is Finland, and we do have some Finnish language there. Pretty easy. So we're on 114. And then this one, we see Pare on the stop sign, so we can immediately rule out Mexico. And then looking at the license plate here, we can see one longer license plate, longer than the rectangular-looking license plates that you'll see in Mexico or the US. And then we'll see one regular plate here that you'll see more so in Mexico. And usually the combination of the two does mean we are in Ecuador. And then I didn't recognize these cities, actually. I do play a lot of Latin America, but I didn't recognize these two cities. I also didn't recognize this highway sign. But then I end up looking at the pole here, I believe, to our west. And then this pole ends up being an Ecuadorian ladder pole. So this is something you'll see very frequently in Ecuador. So first Ecuador of the streak, and we do end up sending Ecuador. I was like extremely confident on this one. I would have been very surprised if I was wrong. And that brings us up to 115. It's only 14 more rounds to go. And this one just looks like stereotypical US. Very poor concrete roads. I believe this is a no parking anytime sign, which you'll see a lot in the US. Not sure about that fire hydrant there. But the houses do not look Canadian at all. Looks more southern US to me. I believe there's no front plate. Or actually, I think there is a front plate on that truck there, which would also make me point more towards the US. And after a little bit more panning, I think I do just send US here. Being fairly confident in doing so. And it was Iowa again. And then this one, I panicked a little bit, just because I thought this was Europe initially, maybe France or something like that. But then I realized we had no antenna, and then I see that God sent speed limit sign there, and then we just slam United States. And then this one, we get an easy Bangladesh car meta round, Bangladesh script as well. And then this one looks like Argentina, black car, and then I see the dot on the plate there. So we're pretty safe to send Argentina. 119. And then this one, I'm pretty confident on Canada here. Generation 2 camera is not something that you'll see a lot in the US. Also, we have a single yellow center line, which is more common in Canada. Not sure if that's a Canadian sign there, but the architecture definitely looks Canadian to me with the wood. Kind of Nordic-looking architecture in a way, but I think Canadian architecture is a little bit... there's a little bit more muted colors, I guess. Not sure how to explain it. I think I just put Saskatchewan there when I knew it was New Brunswick, Quebec area. Because I was just rushing through it. Just wanted to get on to the next round to see if I was right. Double white lines here, as well as these black and white striped poles, as I've talked about earlier. And I think we see the sticker there as well. Yeah, I zoom in on the sticker, and that just means we're in mainland Malay. And then this one, we do have the Philippines car. So this black and white bordered car here is the Philippines. And we are indicating right drive, as well as we do have these concrete roads, which is something you'll see in the Philippines and Thailand. And then this one looks like red lettering on this plate here. And then red lettering on that plate as well. And the amount of brick, I was pretty safe to send Belgium. So almost misclicked there, but yeah. And then this one looked like Poland here because of the way that the road looked, as well as you'll see this double white line a lot in Poland. Not sure if it indicates no passing or something else of the sort, but yeah. And then we see a Polish hunting or deer crossing sign, I believe, there. So we just go Poland. This one, Carpenter Road, it looks like. And then we have the double yellow again. And this just looks like your stereotypical US round. So yeah, I was pretty quick with that one because I was pretty certain that that was the US. This one here, we do see Ukrainian colors on the pole. So I was pretty confident. Also, the back of the car looked a little bit more red. But yeah, we do have the Ukraine flag on the pole there. So it was Ukraine. I got a little bit scared there because it was pretty close to Russia. But it was Ukraine nonetheless. And then this one here, we do have red soil, the Latin American antenna that I've talked about. That's in Brazil, Ecuador, Colombia, and Mexico. But then I see the Brazil pole as well, just to confirm. And it is just Brazil with that ladder pole, Portuguese ladder pole. And then here, I believe we do see the black back of the car, and we confirm it with the Colombian cross. So pretty easy Colombia there. That puts us on 128, and then this will put us on 129, the last one of our streak. This one also looks like the US to me. We have some mailboxes, US-looking plates, dead-end sign, green signs as well, which is more common in the US. Just look like the US to me. I was fairly confident at this point to send the US, and then I see the US flag, so that really helped me. And then this one is the doozy here, folks. So this one, I initially thought Turkey, because of the way it looked. I made multiple mistakes here. I don't know if it was the pressure getting to me or not. But I do see that we have antenna. So I automatically rule out Turkey at that point, because Turkey usually has no antenna, or it's Generation 4 camera with antenna, but this is clearly Generation 3 camera. So I do a little bit more panning, and I ultimately settle on Albania. I think I've had this round before too, as well, which makes it slightly more embarrassing. I settle on Albania because I thought the landscape resembled Albania more than anything else, just because Albania sometimes does look like Turkey a lot of the time with its, especially in its mountainous regions like this. I look around for water tanks, which is pretty common on Albanian houses. I don't end up seeing any, I believe, but I still end up settling on Albania. Another thing that you'll see in Albania as well is the back of the signs will be black. So that's another thing that I really failed to consider here. I think I thought about it for a brief second, but then I was like, oh, maybe this isn't a road sign. It's hard to see if this this back of the sign is black or not. But yeah. I can't really make that out, so I wasn't sure if that was like Cyrillic or just Albanian. I had no idea. So I zoom into Albania here. I probably, at this point, on 129, I probably should have looked for a road that lined up, because I think there's a tunnel to our south as well. I think I circled the sign there because I made a mental note that it wasn't black on the back there. And there's a tunnel there. I probably should have looked for the road. It probably wouldn't have taken me too long to scan all of Albania. I ended up going in Kukis, or however you pronounce that, which is like something that I always hear from the GeoGuessr greats for whatever reason. Seems like a pretty common location in Albania, I guess. But anyway, I do a bit more panning, ultimately decide that Albania is the right decision, and it ends up being coastal Montenegro, which would explain why we didn't have any rifts, and also why the back of the signs weren't black. I ended up shaking the map there in frustration because I was really mad at myself for not understanding that. I zoom in on the location afterwards, I believe, just to take a look. But I do that off screen, and I believe there is a tunnel to our south on that road that I probably could have pinpointed. So I think the pressure got to me a little bit there. But anyway, that's going to be the end of our video for today. If you did enjoy, you did sit all the way through, go ahead and leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all that jazz. Maybe ring the notification bell as well if you guys want, to get notified when I post new videos. That'll be really cool. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed making these. It was very fun to explain my thought processes. And yeah, hope this helped you guys out a little bit. I'll see you guys later. Thank you. Hope you guys have a great day.